This episode of McCall's Quilt Along is brought to you by FOF, the sewing machine for quilters, and by Moda, producer of quilting fabric and home of the fabric precuts.
I'm Laura Roberts. I'm just so glad you're here today. Today is really exciting because today the quilt gets assembled, or at least most of it does. So we're going to start by assembling the center. After you cut these squares, you're going to have to cut them diagonally. Well, if you're cutting a big square, and you will also be cutting big squares for the when we get to the binding tape, which we're making for the applique stems. When you get to that point, you're cutting a really big square, 22.5-inch square. So how do you cut that diagonally? Because think of the ruler you'd need. Well, a couple of things. One thing you can do is actually butt rulers up against one another like this. So if this big ruler were my square, I could put one of these rulers way down in this corner, like that, and then put the other ruler against it, like that. Do you see that? It essentially gives me this huge ruler, okay? And then what I can do is just align it like you would any ruler, moving it as one unit, making sure it stays really tight right there, and then you have it just right for cutting.
This episode of McCall's Quilt Along is brought to you by FOF, the sewing machine for quilters, and by Moda, producer of quilting fabric and home of the fabric precuts.